Good afternoon once again, right? Hello, right? So the first half, I was more talking about technology. So I have brought a very different balance in this. So we'll be more talking about human side. Of course, without touching the technology, I can't leave the panel. So we'll be more focusing about the human touch in the learning and development. Of course, as you know, our topic is CLO as a skill coach, as a learning and development professional, as a skill coach, empowering managers for skills development. So here we are going to look at the significance and importance of bringing coaching in your organization and how it is helping. So I have a fantastic panel with me who has a lot of experience and of course powerful tips also for you to adapt that. And more than that, we are going to look at how technology can also help in your coaching journey, in your organization. And more than that, how you all and we all as L&D professionals can look at the coaching and other interventions. That's what. So to make it little more interesting, and that too after the post-lunch session, I would like to make it more interactive. Of course, throughout the session, my job is I'll be bringing the best out of them. Whatever they have, the expertise, I'll try to reach out them. But more than that, it's our agenda. I don't know about you. So what we'll be doing, we'll be using technology. We are going to keep interacting throughout with the panel, but through me. And sometime I'll give it open, and sometime, mostly it will be through me. And then you can keep asking questions, and then we'll be answering. Is that okay? Right? We'll manage the flow of what we have in stock, and then we'll try to see that how it matches your needs. Are you ready? Hello, are you ready? So if you're ready, straight away, get your phone, mobile and smartphone, and then either scan the QR code if you are, or just type slido.com, and straight away, you don't need to log in and all. Just put 1799914. Just put the thing and keep it with you, and then you will be keep interacting with the panel continuously. So I hope all of you are able to log in. So if not, just get into the Chrome and then put slido.com 1799914. So, no, you see that, right? So you have skipped to the last session, so, right. So now you see that. You cannot see that one, right? So what is the most significant challenge managers face in becoming effective skill coaches, according to you? Just all of you give one particular challenge, right? I'll keep switching on the poll, and you keep seeing that lack of coaching skill, time constraint, resistant to adapting change, time constraint in their role, limited access to technology and tools, things like that, okay? Let's see what are the major challenges they have. So I'll be giving tough time to our panel members to see that how they can address. And of course, if not, they are there. Right. So I need every one of your answer, and of course, I can see who are all, but I'll not be putting it, but I want all the count to be here every time. Is that okay? Every time? Yeah. So the first 46% resistance to adapting a coaching mindset. We have brilliant initiatives and tips are there. And let's see, still more. Lack of coaching skills coming in the second 23%, time constraint in their role to take up the coaching and coaching programs and all that, limited access to technology and tools. So we'll be broadly covering all these 4 areas. So before I move to the panel and look at your mobile now, so this will be there throughout. You keep posting any number of questions, make it simple and precise, and so that it keeps coming. And then while the flow is there, I'll get you that. So what is your one question to the panel? with respect to this framework, today's framework, empowering managers to become great coaches. So, it's over to you. So, before the question comes, I have a set of questions also. And of course, I'll try to see that balance. Most of the questions comes from them. And then, so I'll be taking you beyond the syllabus or framework. Right. So, the first question, coming back to the poll percentage, having a time constraint for managers. So, I would like to know the importance of managerial coaching in different organizations. This first question is to Neelam, who is a VP L&D of Big Basket. And so, Neelam, so why do you think managerial coaching is becoming critical competency for managers in today's workplace? And especially with respect to Big Basket, what certain things you are doing for bringing the importance and manager coaching in your organization?
And you logically also think about it. Your mirror neuron fires each time you're observing somebody do something, right? And each time you see your manager behaving in a certain way, after a couple of months you align with his way of working. And that's what is unconscious mentoring. I think the only thing that we did at Big Basket was make it more conscious. That's it. So you anyway, they are anyway looking up to you. They are anyway doing what you want them to do. I think by knowing what is expected from this role and also knowing what competencies or what behaviors do you want them to display, you can consciously have a conversation with them. So I think we built a framework around coaching people, mentoring people at different levels, and rewarding both mentees, coaches and mentors about this framework. So is it important? I think, yes, it's very important because it's already happening. It's like you feel hungry, you have a choice to eat or you have a choice to eat mindfully. So something that's already happening, you provide a little direction to it. And once you provide direction and little incentives, I think it will automatically flow. And the leaders slowly start seeing results in it. So it doesn't happen in a month, 6 months or a year. I think over a period of time, they start seeing results in the entire process. And that's when the buy-in comes in. And I think once the buy-in comes in, then it's like compounding effect. They are able to create more people, and especially the mentees and the coaches themselves after some time want to become coaches and mentors to their people. So it's just the starting, I think that takes time. So we took about, I think 2 years or 18 months to build it, but after that now it's an automatic process.
There is a follow-up question from one of the delegates, like, do managers subscribe to the coaching method instead of mentoring and chasing approach? So how do you view that?
I think the way we look at it is the need of the individual. There are some people that needs to be mentored. There are some people that needs to be coached. From a manager also, there are some people who naturally coach and more exploratory in their way of and use different, like who wants to be certified, who wants to use a certain method. And there are certain people who are natural. So you have to find a combination of both of them and be able to market it accordingly. So we market some leaders as coaches, and we focus a lot on that they have been certified, they have so many hours. But there are some people who don't want to be certified something, but they think naturally they can mentor people. We use a different methodology of marketing them as on their experience and the kind of people that they have built, and we use it accordingly. So I think it's a mix and match. We play by the strength. There's no method to everything.
Right, great. Now I pass the next question to Mr. Harish, who is heading the L&D RRD. So what challenges do managers face while trying to act as a skill coaches, or how organizations address this? So adding to that, there is one same way from the audience, there is one question. How do we empower managers to become great coaches without them turning into a motivational meme machines? So that's an interesting question, right?
I'll answer the first one. So I think it's natural for managers to be telling, and I've seen this with all managers. It's they think their team needs to be guided. They think they need to give the strategy. They need to give the action plan. They need to give the route map. That has been what you get to see in most managerial communication today. Having them to listen, having them to unearth ideas from people and chalk out strategies together is not a natural skill. And I feel that is where it's got to do a lot to do with listening. And I feel organizations need to address this in a framework. For example, in our company, RRD, we have created a beautiful model called the EFS checklist, Effective Feedback Session Checklist. And what we have done there is we have beautifully put simple 8 pointers. Anyone who is having a conversation with someone, even giving feedback or solving a problem, you can use that simple checklist and then make a big difference. So we have seen managers actually be very good listeners and are able to co-create solutions much better after adopting a checklist like this. With regard to the second one, how do managers be coaches and not become too preachy? I think we have not understood coaching really well. If you're a coach, you listen more. Essentially, that's what it is, right? On the contrary, I think if you're a mentor, you end up being more prescriptive about what the other person wants to do. So I think if you're a coach, I don't think you will end up in that situation.
Thank you, Harish. Yes, I hope you are getting the answers. And the next question is to Prachi, head of L&D Myntra.
Yes.
So, in your experience, I'll start with one of the interesting audience question. So, what tools and technologies you recommend, or what frameworks you use in your experience or in your organizations for coaching?
All right. I think I'll pick up some bits that both of them mentioned. One thing that we need to know, and I'm sure there's some conversation around it already, that we all, if not already, will move to a multi-generational organization, which means our managers will need to deal with multi-generational conversations. So one mindset shift, and I think that was something that was voted very high, that we need to make in our managers is move them from, lack of a better word, controllers to collaborators. Most managers like to control outcomes, like to direct the team in a certain way. They have their style which they want mini-me's to be created. Managers need to understand that your team members will not be mini-me's. They'll imitate because that's a natural sense, but most newer generation will have their own way of working. So I think one framework that's worked very well for us, and I've also tried it in my previous organization, is be a little proactive in teaching people how to let go and work on that controlling and collaborating aspect. It's very easy to talk about. They're just two simple words. It's very difficult to do. So what we do is we do look at a series of programs over a journey of a manager's cycle, and we develop touch points basis that. Basis the experience that people face. How do we get to know that experience is not from my experience, I'm old. We do have persona type for each manager. We do know what are the possible point of pain areas that they will go through feedback, through listening to them, and we build in those short, well-curated workshops, interventions, coach for coaching, mentors, all those pieces for them. Unfortunately, and I'll wrap up this answer very quickly, otherwise I'll keep going. Unfortunately, what we think, the minute we get a manager tag, this person's a superhero, will know how to coach, will know how to mentor. I think that's a very sad assumption. As L&D, we have to kind of step back and say, you know what, this could be an individual contributor, high performers as an SME, people manager may need help. So I think just take that little crown off for a little while and let the manager kind of find their own feet, and that's the space that, and frameworks can help heavily in that. I'll just take a pause and not eat up too much of time. I'm hoping I'll get another question, but I hope I answered whoever's question.
Of course. Certain unasked question also you have answered. Someone has asked about bringing the defense of manager, mentor, and coach. So you have touched upon. Thank you for that, making my job easy. So
I can add on manager, mentor, and a coach. The way I have understood mentor
Please.
and a coach, a mentor is an expert, and a mentor is essentially very prescriptive in nature, and a mentor essentially breeds skill, right, and imparts skill. A coach, on the other hand, is more facilitative and lets the other person find the answers within themselves, and just creates a good conducive environment and a great listening, and is a great sounding board. In a parlance of Mahabharata, I would say Drona is a mentor. He was teaching Arjuna how to actually shoot the arrows and use the archery really well. And coach is none other than, anybody wants to answer, who is a Krishna. Yes, Krishna is the coach there, because it's not that Arjuna doesn't have the skills, but there's something else bothering him and he needs to find out what that is. So that's the difference.
Fantastic, Harish. You nailed it, what the coach is, what the mentor does. So now the next question is to Alka, the VP Human Capital of Arcesium. So in your experience, what are the methods, frameworks you have used in the coaching, especially for your employees, leaders?
Okay. Before I get to frameworks, I want to root this a little bit. I think it's very interesting. As in the morning, I think there was a panel that spoke about ABCD, right? How our world is evolving. We're living in the age of information. So the value proposition of the role of a people manager that used to exist, like let's say 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that has completely shifted. Information is like 2 syllables away, no matter what company you have gadgets from. So it's not the information that managers are providing, and that's the core role. But it's a lot more about guiding your team, finding out those coaching moments, help them discern information from another piece of information, develop maybe some sort of critical thinking, whatever context or technology or industry you're in, and then use that in a way that helps you succeed not only in your current role, but also helps you build a career, right? So that's the context in which the role of a people manager, I think, has undergone a bit of an evolution. Given that, there's always the usual challenges that come with any framework. Starts with, why should we do this? With coaching, I think the one thing that maybe all of you will agree, another challenge is coaching is supposed to be extremely authentic. Good coaching always is. All of us in the room that are executive coaches, that have done coaching, it cannot start with a pretense, right? And that can be slightly nerve-wracking, like, this is work. I don't want people to form an opinion about what I share in confidence. So that is an added angle of trust, which I think before you think of a framework, you've got to figure out, how does trust factor in? How much of trust can we hold, right? As a framework, then what sits on top of it is what speaks to your values, your vision, your mission, and the reality of the organization. Look, I know we're talking about coaching, but I'll be the first one to say it doesn't apply everywhere, right? There's a combination. You can do different types of coaching. Some coaching needs to be directive, right? If you're working in compliance, legal, it needs to be directive. Some coaching needs to be exploratory, especially when you're thinking about building talent. You're thinking about evolving somebody from their current role to a future role, right? And some coaching has to be situation focused. Now you get to decide what combination of this works for people managers in your organization. And I think that's the sort of framework I've always ended up creating. Keeping all of these things in mind, and you always want to soundboard. I like when Rajinikanth was talking about, how to build buy-in, about, a new technology that you're using. One of the points was you want to ensure that you do a pilot and then you scale it. It's such a foolproof way, works in so many different levels, right? Try it out, build sponsorship, and then decide. Honestly, the framework doesn't matter. People need to believe in what you're doing and see the value in it. So that matters. So I think that's the long answer to your short question.
Fantastic, Alka. You have brought in the exploratory kind of coaching to the very specific competency-based coaching. So that made me to, before I come to you, right, made me to pull out one more interesting question from the audience. That is, how do you figure out what skills to coach a person on? So, me as a ICF ACC coach, I will take up this question and then pass it to you, right? With the liberty and with your space. So, we do have managers as coaches program. We have been running for a long time. But when we try to find the impact of that, people are not able to, we were not able to bring in. So, coming to your question, then we made a framework. Say, for example, there is a specific module to coach the leaders on how to review your team IDP, how to bring in the best and how to pace them into that for their individual development plan. And there are modules like how do you bring your business review meeting, how do you bring the coaching element in your business review. So these kind of frameworks. We have a couple of others also. So when we put that managers and then we find out what are the key competencies to be coached in that module, we could able to see the fantastic result across the organization, right? Yeah, over to you.
I think it's a great question. So one thing I've seen is, today we have so many opportunities for people to learn. There are, touch of a button, you are able to create your own learning content, right? And tools today that are so intelligent, they're able to give you everything that you're looking for, right? So I used to remember this analogy that says, we are used to the sun, our next generations are used to the stars. We just saw only one thing, right? We just had Doordarshan, and that was the only channel you can watch. But today, our children are exposed to a whole lot of things, right? They have, and they are more knowledgeable, they're more multi-dimensional than all of us. And I feel this is the time coaching takes higher prominence, because how do you bring sense out of this? How do you get someone who has all the knowledge, has all the intelligence, but what is lacking is the wisdom to find out, to make the right patterns, and know where to go. And the question is, what skill should I learn? It's the other way around, right? What do you want to go? Where do you want to go? What is your goal? What is your dream? What are you passionate about? And I think the role of a coach is more relevant today in the AI age than ever before, because answers are everywhere. It is just the lack of questions is what I feel.
Fantastic. Thank you, Harish. And I have a co-panelist from the team, and it's a suggestion. It's a not question. So I take that as a panel point. So coaching is about people and the person. It's not about the problem, issue occurred. Yes, you are empowering the managers to handle the problem. That's what all the coaching is, thanks to the added panelists and thanks to technology. Right, so now when I was talking about technology and other things, let me move our needle towards leveraging the technology in our AI and everything in coaching. So Harish is experimenting a lot of AI bots and tools and platforms in this organization. I just want to pose this question to you. So how can AI or any technology can be used or to personalize coaching in the organization?
Yeah, I before I go to that question, AI is a very close to heart for me, simply because I find when somebody asks me which is the most happening time of your life, I would say right now. It's probably the best time of our lives because we are in a cusp of so many changes. And somebody was asking, will AI replace human beings? Will it become better than me? The truth is, it's already better than you, right? You're talking about a past tense. I'm talking about it's already there, right? But here's what I have understood of artificial intelligence after working on it for so long. I think human beings, by nature, are irrational and illogical. So we are the only ones who will put a left indicator and turn right, right? an AI is going to be always logical and always rational. And I think that imperfection, what we saw as imperfection, is actually going to be our plus, is what's going to define human beings more and more. And I feel we can take decisions by gut, which make no sense on data, right? And some of the greatest leaders I know, data will be saying one thing, but they may still go by their gut, right? I think that's really going to be defining us more and more, and our ability to bring intent and purpose. I really like this topic. It says celebrating learning and leading with purpose. So I really like that a lot. Going back to your question on how AI can really help us in coaching. I think today we are all talking about coaching, but we don't realize our next generation is no longer even typing. They're all talking to a phone. I don't know how many of you have realized that, right? They no longer even type things out, they're talking to the phone, right? So I think we have so many intelligent tools today, ChatGPT, Claude Artifacts, Gemini, Copilot, and so many of them are capable of actually personalized coaching. It is unbelievable to what level of personalization it can do. The more you talk to it, the more it understands, and the more it brings context. Right? If you don't mind, I can actually show a live demo.
I'll come to show that. Before that, I have something interesting, and then I'll come to that. Keep your bot ready. Right? So the question is to Alka. So what challenges or success stories you have with respect to technology in coaching?
Don't hate me for this, Harish, but I'm going to, at the risk of sounding a little out of sync with the times, I think at least in my experience, we've seen value in both. Using AI, empowered coaching, and then also leveraging and drawing on the experience, expertise of human beings. We've seen value in both. How it becomes slightly different is anything which is more scale, I think AI does a fantastic job. You've got a list of skills. You want everyone to at least know or have a view of what those skills look like in practice as a coach. I think AI works fantastically well. When you're talking about senior leadership or when you're talking about your talent pipeline, I think in those scenarios, having somebody very, very tailor-fit to that individual makes a lot more impact, right? And I'm not saying that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that we've seen a lot of success with human beings, the outdated human beings, just making an impact in terms of coaches. Being able to, whether you're in the same business unit, whether maybe you come from the same background, maybe you're, some of those psychometric tests show very similar predilections in terms of the kind of leader you are, right? So all of those, I think, in the long run kind of play a role. So in that sense, we've seen success with both. Some challenges, I don't think it'll be new for anyone in this room. I think not starting with the why is the biggest challenge. I wouldn't ask what to coach on. I would probably ask, why do you want to coach? It's difficult, it's honest, it's authentic, so it's uncomfortable. So why do you want to put people through it, right? Start with that. And once you're clear on that, I think then it's easier to figure out, okay, I want to coach for performance. So that's a different approach. I want to coach for aspirations, dreams, hopes, right? That's more career development. That's a whole different ballgame, right? The skills you need in these two areas are dimensionally different. So the first challenge is asking why and getting comfortable with that uncomfortable feeling of asking why. That's the biggest, I think, challenge.
Thank you, Alka. So I was talking to Prachi, and then she was saying something interesting, especially with respect to difficult conversations you were using. Something. Right. So I want you to bring that story to the audience.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. I'm a believer in technology and AI. I think it's going to surpass a lot of things. I also think that subject matter experts were valued much. They'll get devalued, lack of a better word, because there are a lot of content and clean content that you can get through AI. Right now, immediately, what we would need to work on is the emotional aspect, and which is just right now, because I think AI is smart enough to also cushion you emotionally as we move along, and we've heard more in enough cases where people are having really deep conversations with AI. So if we think that AI will will not have a human touch. I don't think that's entirely true. I think they will. Having said that, for now, our managers need, or we need to make sure that the softer, the human side is more indexed on as compared to the SME aspect of it. The bit that we were talking about is, like I said, I do believe in AI, and I think it has a massive ability. One thing that we experimented some time back was a lot of time performance management, massive conversations in most corporate. A lot of time what we do is before conversations, or before most managers go in for conversation, we do a workshop, send them LinkedIn learning or all of those bits that, if there's a difficult conversation, go through this. What we wanted to try was to put an AI where before going to the conversation, you quickly get tips. Because at that point of time, you're not going to reach out to an L&D person, one. Two, whatever said and done, AI is free of judgment. And that is an incredible power that a machine has versus what human beings. Because if somebody reaches out to me, listen, I don't know how to handle this conversation, we like it or we don't, we'll go like, manager, huh? But I think that ability and that safety a machine can provide pretty heavily. And I think that is something that I do want to deeply explore, and I think I will. But that's just food for thought. I don't know where AI takes us eventually, but that's where we're at right now.
Thank you, Prachi, for bringing that. So another interesting thing is, Sharon, you have invited Harish only as a panel, but he has brought a co-panelist with him. So just for a quick check that, what's her name? You have named?
I've actually designed a bot called Sheetal.
Sheetal,
She's a
okay.
CLO.
So I have a question for her, right?
Okay.
Try to get that. So what are the critical success factors for implementing coaching culture across the organization? So I want her answer.
Okay, Sheetal, Mr. Rajinikanth wants to know what are the critical success factor for implementing a coaching culture in an organization. Sheetal, I have a question for you. Are you there?
24/7.
Okay. I think it was answering. I kept the volume down. So Mr. Rajinikanth wants to know what are the critical factors for implementing a coaching culture in an organization.
Okay, let it come. Once it comes, let me know.
It's
Critical
answering.
factors for implementing a coaching culture revolve around leadership commitment, skill alignment, and enabling managers as coaches. First, leadership buy-in is key. Leaders need to model coaching behaviors and champion the idea that skill development is a shared responsibility. When leaders walk the talk, it cascades through the organization. Second, aligning coaching efforts with business goals ensures impact. Managers should identify skill gaps directly tied to team objectives and work collaboratively to bridge them. This keeps the coaching process relevant and results-driven. Finally, managers need the tools and training to be effective coaches. That includes frameworks like the GROW model or leveraging technology like AI-based learning platforms that personalize skill development pathways. These resources help managers identify gaps, provide actionable feedback, and track progress. When these factors come together, organizations foster trust, continuous learning, and measurable growth. A great example is Microsoft's cultural shift under Satya Nadella, where coaching became a core leadership competency, driving both innovation and employee satisfaction.
Thank you, Harish. So on the lighter side, something is there from the audience, maybe the cue to Sharon also for the next event. So with Sheetal here, will we need events like this, right? Of course. Yes or no? To operate and model that, all that we need. So our job is ensured, but still, we can still use that. Before I go further, there is a very broad question. I just put into the thought in between. If you can chip in, it will be good. But it's an interesting question. Has any panelist or has anyone tried using AI to build skills and competency profile of all employees? That is, to give inputs to the managers to be more effective in terms of context of your firm. Yeah.
Partially, yes. Have tried. Super theoretical knowledge, because it picks up the right frameworks, it does the right things. So it from context, theory, it'll give you super response. Implementation is the area where I think it's a little off to my mind, because it depends on us, the implementation piece. That's what I've experienced, but you're the expert.
So one of the things I have done is, of course, you have to really write a prompt and ask AI what exactly you're looking for. And today prompts are getting intelligent as well, right? So one of the things we did was we wanted to build an assessment, but we don't want the assessment to be your typical one-word answers kind of an assessment. So we said we wanted, because we see managers actually trying out different things on the ground. So we picked up some of those themes and asked AI to generate scenarios. What would you do in this situation? And it was unbelievable. AI generated, the ChatGPT generated close to 200 different scenarios. And one of the prompt also said, I don't want the scenario to be a giveaway, because if it's like your typical questions and answers, right? 3 are wrong and 1 is right. So we said, we want the scenario to be complex. We want the scenario to be real life. We want the scenario to have both pros and cons of making a decision. So give me your choices. So that question was a lot more easier. It was the 4 choices that were more difficult. It was so intelligent. It was able to pick up a scenario, give 4 different options for a manager to choose from, and then later, based on that data, I was able to put it back to ChatGPT with a code interpreter, and then it's able to analyze it like a data scientist and tell me what are those things that this person has to work on. So it's able to do both. It's able to generate, it's able to automate, it's able to give me hyper-personalized reports that I can give to a manager. This I've tried it out. We tried it out for a specific cohort, and it worked out really well.
I shall try it. Yeah.
Right. Hope both of their answers partially justified your very long question. I have tried to consciously put it. There is something very interesting question that I want to pass it to Neelam. That's from, again, audience. What strategies can be employed to ensure that coaching becomes a continuous practice rather than a one-time initiative? Right? Even I would like to hear.
So I can just talk about what has worked for us. So 3 things that worked for us is that some leaders are naturally invested in coaching and mentoring their people. So I think first is that we should be able to, we should be able to use them or deploy them for the initial push or the pull that you want to do, because coaching and mentoring is difficult to build, right? And hence when you initially bring first of all, there has to be a program. You have to have one. So when they say rather than a one-time initiative, to start with, I think you need to have one initiative. So we had 2. One was called Drona, which was about mentoring, and as Harish said, more of your Dronacharyas, and hence it was called Drona. The second was called Leaders as Coaches, which was more like Krishna. So we did build a platform for it. Then we identified the leaders who were naturally inclined to be a part of this program, and we started using, training them, coaching them. As I said, some of them were interested in going through a foolproof program, getting a certification. Some of them were only interested in knowing a little bit, and we signed up with a very, very, elegant, nice, good partners for us from Chennai, and they helped us build a pool of mentors and coaches. So once we had the initiative, we had the people who were interested, so we didn't push anybody. It was completely a pull approach. But then we used them as our brand ambassadors. So we marketed the entire thing. We put it on our platform saying that the coaches are available, these are the competencies, this is what they bring to the table. If you have anything, then you can block their calendars. Some were available on Wednesdays, Thursdays, so it was all available. We also built it a little bit of counseling. So we tied up with an organization called Myntra, and so all the 3 programs were pushed together, saying that if you want it very personal, it's related to family or someone, then you can go through Myntra. Otherwise, you can go through Drona or Leaders as Coaches. I think after that, it is about spreading the word and people seeing the results. Once they started seeing the results, that is when it picks in slowly and slowly. So I think for strategies that worked for us is one, use a pull approach to start with at least. Then definitely have an initiative. It can't work without a framework. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. It has to be measurable. I know coaching is confidential, but some outcomes needs to be there. We also used a lot of outside coaches and mentors because that builds in more credibility and the profile is richer. And at times you need people from outside also to have a different perspective. And the last is people who are either coaches, mentors, and the mentees and the coaches should act as your brand ambassador. So as I said, for us, after a couple of months or years, there were coaches and mentees who came saying that, can I also get certified? And can I coach or mentor people below me? So I think that really worked for us. Right now it's a full-time program. As we say, we have a dedicated team that runs it. We have a pool of about 50 mentors and about 25 to 30 coaches. This program is sought after in Big Basket, which means we have people who have applied for it, and there are cohorts happening with Tata coming in. We have more visibility, and we have more places wherein people can go and get certified and all of that. But that's what worked for us.
Fantastic, Neelam. At least one thing which I picked up, I'm coming to that. One thing I picked up is Dhruv, something very interesting. So I like to pick up Dronacharya, like your program is on Drona, right? So I like to pick up little more cues in the tea break, coffee break. All others can join with me if you wish, right? So yeah, Alka.
A couple of ways that we've seen coaching and mentoring, be successful in one of my past organizations is one, there was a very specific problem we wanted to solve, which typically happens if you have a global legacy organization, which is there's inherent ways that people navigate the org. There's always some context that you need to know, especially if you're a new joiner. So one of the things that we did was we created an internal platform which connected old timers with the new joiners, right? And there's certain guardrails that we kept in terms of job levels, experience type, industry, etc. But that became a very successful initiative simply because it addressed somewhat of an OD issue where implications are not immediately apparent, but you may see a pattern where you see new joiners or new leaders are not assimilating very quickly or very well, or maybe there's attrition there, right? So that was one. The second thing that we did on scale was use a combination of AI-driven fundamentals, which is what is coaching, what's the context, what kind of a working partnership does coaching bring, and what are the different types of it, but then speak specifically in the context of performance and talk about, okay, so if you have somebody who's more of an SME than you are as a manager, but you need to coach this individual, what do you do in this scenario? How do you go about it, right? Simple scenarios like that, which became more practical, and then we were able to see a significant markup after running a couple of, the program a couple of times in our effectiveness surveys for people managers, run org-wide, right? So I agree, metrics are important, but different ways to kind of bring it to life, depending on the problem you're solving for. Yeah.
Thank you, Alka, for adding that element. So I'm coming to the final piece of information. That's when we looked at the poll, the 51% was resistance to adopting a coaching mindset. So how, as L&D professionals, what can they do, right? So this is a one common question. It's to all. It's a kind of rapid fire. I want you to answer in max 2 lines or 3 lines. Right? What is your key formula, or what's your success formula, or what are the top 3 key strategies, whatever way you take it? Yeah. Mainly to address L&D professionals, how they can empower their managers become great coaches, in your experience.
Right. So I think creating safe space, safety to fail and rebound, creating relatively low judgment environment is something that works for creating coaches. I think L&D mantra for which is truly, I'd like to believe in it, is keeping a very agile strategy as learning, keeping the learner at the center of everything, create learner personas, work on it, and keep it very nimble. Don't make it, it's not written in stone just because you decided at the beginning of the year. And I think these are some 3-4 things that I like to work with.
Great.
Enough
Harish.
number of sentences.
Yeah, it's okay.
I would say if I understood your question right, it's about what L&D professionals should do, right? So one thing I feel is definitely we have to experiment. There's a whole world out there we don't know. It's as big as dark matter, right? We have to experiment. The second thing I feel is we have to stop being a traffic cop trying to regulate everything and be like a musician orchestrating music. Let everybody play their individual instruments, let beautiful music come out of it, and that's what we need to work on. The third thing I feel very important, if I had a power to be like God, I would like to change my brain to someone who is a millennial, because I really feel they have all the answers and we have no clue what they have. So I would like to let go a lot of things that I carry as baggage today and start all over again.
Thank you, Harish. Yeah.
As a millennial, I can confirm we don't have all the answers. I think the one thing that I can call out is treat coaching as a tool, not as a silver bullet.
So I think if you know the why, as Alka said, why are you using coaching and mentoring, and you're able to provide, I think, couple of solutions. So don't go in your mind, I'll only provide coaching and this is the way I'll provide it. If you're able to provide options and answer the why of it, it'll work. And it'll work slowly. It really takes time to build in trust. As she said, building a safe space that I'm going, but I'm not judged. It takes time. So just persistence that it'll work.
My model is, my formula is model, empower, and inspire. You as a L&D professional, model the coaching skill in your forums, in your meetings, or with your stakeholders. And the second is empower your leaders with confidence, empower them, and they will feel that coaching presence. And finally, inspire them to take action. So model, empower, inspire, make the coaching a fire that will take them higher. So that's the thing which I would like to close. I really loved keep seeing the questions, it keeps on coming. So, but she has put the red alert that something will go on if we don't that. So, I'm not stopping here the questions. So, till in the coffee break, tea break, whatever the question left out, and some of the questions, even though I have not spelled out, you have answered it. That's why I skipped some of the questions. So most of the questions, I hope, whoever has put in, still it keeps coming in. So I have to balance the time and also the need of yours and the panel. So with that, finally, before we close or in the process of closing, all of you take your mobile and one final thing. So hope you loved the panel. So the results to the panel, I'll be putting it directly. So results to us. So hope enjoyed. Yeah, okay.